Hey everyone, today I've got a really exciting video. I'm going to be rebuilding this particular system. You've all seen this before. I think the video was called Another Free PC. It's an AMD Athlon 64X2 machine, so it's a dual core. It's really nice. I like it a lot, and it's in an awful case. So I'm going to be rebuilding it. I'm going to show you the parts and stuff. Today is Tuesday, and the case may not be coming until Thursday, so this video will be spread across a couple of days. But yeah, I'm going to get started on it today and give you a basic introduction to everything that's going on. So if you haven't seen the video involving this PC, please go and check it out. It's a two-part video, I believe. And I'm doing this for a few reasons. Now, once I've rebuilt this PC, I'll show you all the parts in a minute. I've got all the parts apart from the case itself. Once I've rebuilt this PC, I'll be giving it to my parents. Well, we settled a deal about it and everything. And it's to replace their HP machine. Now, the HP machine is actually better spec'd. It's a 2.2 gigahertz Core 2 Duo. It's got a 500 gig hard drive. It's got 3 gigs of RAM. It's got Vista on it, unfortunately, but it's a fairly new system that we bought brand new back in 2007. The whole reason that I'm rebuilding this one and giving it to them is so that they can sell that one. I'll put Windows 7 on it and sell that one on eBay, because it'll fetch quite a significant amount more than this one. And they only do things like web browsing, email, so they really don't need anything with any kind of power. So this system is ideal for them. You can use this system for, you saw I could use it for light gaming and everything, so it's going to handle everything they need absolutely brilliantly. Another main reason why I want to sell the HP machine is because it's BTX standard, and it's already broken once. It's out of warranty now. We had a thunderstorm, and yes, we do have a surge protector, but still the power supply, motherboard, RAM, I think everything apart from the hard drive and the optical drive was fried in that machine, and they had to replace it all. But it's a terrible BTX machine. I hate BTX. For those of you who aren't aware, in the custom computer world, or well, the PC world in general, you have a standard called ATX, or you can get micro ATX, extended ATX, blah blah blah. But basically it means that I can get any power supply and any case that's the ATX standard and put them both together. BTX is companies' way of just making everything awkward by flipping everything around, putting screw holes in stupid places, just so you can't use your own components in their computers, which is annoying. You can change out things like graphics cards, PCI cards, hard drives with no problems at all, but you can't change motherboards and power supplies, so it's a bit of a pain. So yeah, I'm going to show you the parts now, and this is going to be a pretty cool video. I'm really excited to do it. So here's the exciting bit. We're going to take a look at the parts for this system. Now, first off, in here I have the original 1 gigabyte of RAM that was in it. The reason this isn't in the system is because I wanted to see what RAM it was so I could order more. So I ordered another 1 gig. This is the cheapest stick I could find on eBay, and it's exactly the same. DDR 400 megahertz, I think 184 pin, something like that. PC 3200, and here it is. It's a nice looking stick. It's got a heatsink on it and everything. So that was in fact the cheapest stick on eBay. So we have 2 gigabytes in this machine in total, which is a nice amount to run Windows 7 and normal tasks. So we have 2 gigs of RAM. Coming over then, we have an 80 gigabyte Western Digital SATA hard drive. You may be thinking, why have I got an 80 gig hard drive? Well, for starters, this thing cost me £3, which is great, and they don't need more than 80 gig. Maybe 160 gig would have been nice for extreme future proofing, but 80 gig is absolutely fine. The only thing they really store on their hard disk, other than the programs and operating system, is photos for eBay, and we all know that photos don't take up that much space at all, and 80 gigs is a plenty big enough drive. They don't store any music, they don't store any films, nothing like that. So there we have an 80 gig hard disk, and there's a 320 in it at the moment, and I can take that out and use it elsewhere for another build that needs a better hard drive. Here we have a case fan. The case that I ordered doesn't include any fans, and this is an 80mm fan. It's a really nice fan. I think you say Xylence or something like that, but I've tested this fan out and it's super quiet. It's a really nice quality fan. It's a 3-pin and it's got a 4-pin adapter with it, and the screws are included. This is a really nice fan. The case doesn't support 120mm fans, but this is a nice 80mm fan, so that's really nice. Next thing we have is the wireless PCI card. This is a Wi-Fi card, supports wireless B and wireless G, so that's pretty cool. The reason I need this is because their computer is obviously downstairs and I have the router up here, so they need to connect wirelessly. They're using a USB Wi-Fi dongle at the moment, and it's terrible. It's very slow and the signal is extremely weak, so this will be a lot nicer. In here we have an LG 22x DVD rewriter. It's a SATA drive. Let's just see if we can take this out to show you. As you all know, the DVD drive in the computer at the moment is bust, and even if it was working, I would have still bought this because number one, it's black to match the case at the front, and number two, this is only £12 on Amazon. So if you guys are looking for a DVD rewriter at the moment, head on over to Amazon and you can get a 22x DVD rewriter from LG for only £12. I think it's £12.49. So that's a great price. Let's just close that up. Sorry about this camera work, guys. Let's move that over there. Next we have a cable management system. I'm a big fan of these little kits. I can pick them up in my local pound shop. You get 10 zip ties, you get 6 little Velcro things. They do the same as zip ties, they're just not permanent, so that's pretty cool. And then you get these, which stick onto the case and you can loop cables into them and it keeps everything organised. We have Windows 7 Ultimate 64-bit, of course. AMD Athlon 64, so might as well go for the 64-bit version. And here we have some screws for the optical drive and hard drive there. Here we have an iQute 300-watt power supply. Now then, the power supply that's in there at the moment, I'm going to take it out and have a look at it. But the reason I've got this power supply is because number one, it was only £5 from a car boot sale. It is second hand, and it caught my eye as well because the iQute logo. I know that Maplin Electronics in the UK carry iQute products. So I haven't heard the best about iQute products, but they're pretty good, I think. They're obviously not as good as the power supply from Cooler Master or Antec or whatever, but I still think they're okay. The specs look pretty decent, and I'm going to see if it's any better than the power supply that's in there at the moment as well. I'm also going to take noise level into consideration. So they're all the parts. It's looking quite nice. Existing parts that I'm going to use, the only existing parts that I'm using are the video card. Can't remember what this is off the top of my head, but yeah, it's nothing special. I think it's got 256 megs of VRAM. I'll be taking out this modem. I'll be using this motherboard and this CPU with this heatsink. So yeah, that's pretty cool. There's the 320 gig hard disk that I'll have spare hanging around. And yeah, this is going to be an epic build. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull the power supply out of this guy and have a little look at it, see what it's like, see what the quality's like, and have a little read of the specs. Well, I've taken this guy out and it's very small. It's very lightweight. The quality feels dreadful. And it claims to be 400 watts. 400 watts is overkill for this system, and I don't think it's a decent power supply. So, oh, and as well, I can't even find a brand on it. So I will be using the branded power supply, even though it's not the best brand in the world. The build quality on this one just seems a million times better. And I've got a power supply in here actually. This is a storage box. Got a power supply in here, which is 4 times heavier than this, and it's only 250 watt, but it's only got a 20 pin connector, and yeah, that power supply in there is really beefy. It's a nice power supply, but this thing is a waste of time. I'll keep it for spares, but yeah, I think I may be looking at a system killer. So, what I'm going to do now is have a look in the PC and pray to myself that this motherboard tray is somehow removable. Highly doubt it is, but in these older cases sometimes they are. If it is removable, I can keep the motherboard on the tray for now and test it out with the new power supply and RAM and whatnot. So the only things in this computer now are the motherboard and processor. Everything else is out. Oh no, there's a floppy drive in there. Ah, we can save that little guy. Didn't notice him. Wicked. Coming over here, you can see the graphics card. Nice little card. Modem. All the screws. And then the optical drive, which is actually a working DVD reader. I remember I replaced it back in that other video. And the 320 gig Western Digital SATA hard drive. Here we have the SATA cable and the ID cable for the optical drive. And I'm just going to take that floppy out now. Now the only thing that I hate about building PCs are these guys. Okay, these guys are a pain. I wish there was a standard one plug that came from the front of the case and went straight into the motherboard. Because look at all those little pins down there. Camera's not going to focus, but there's so many pins in this motherboard and so many little cables to hook up. You get some easy ones, like the bigger ones. This is for the speaker, as you can see. Oh, my camera's doing a crap job of focusing today. There you go, you can see that. But then you've got all your sort of front power button, reset button, LED, all that stuff. Absolutely terrible. Pain in the ass, horrible. So I'll have to, when I get this motherboard out, find the model number and research for the manual online, because there's no way you can do that without the manual, unless you're very familiar with how different manufacturers of the motherboard do the pins and stuff. The camera's sucking at focusing today. But yeah, you can kind of see that down there. It's terrible, probably because it's in a low light condition as well. There you go, that's good. But yeah, absolutely horrendous job, and it's really annoying. Especially if the computer's so old that you can't find the manual. But you can do a bit of trial and error if you like. Okay, so I've got the board out of the case, and I'm not a fan of who put this together at all. Number one, everyone knows that you're not meant to screw down a motherboard so tight as that you've got to wrestle with the screwdriver when you want to get the screw out. But whoever put this together put the screws together way too tight. Screwed the screws in way too tight to the motherboard. So tight that this one down here, the standoff actually unscrewed, leaving the screw tight in the standoff. This screw is unbelievably tight. There's no movement in it at all. Another thing that I don't like about them is they screwed it in. Excuse me, sorry. They screwed it in so tight, and they put everything together so tight that the board is actually flexed. This is the fault of the case as well, but it can be avoided a little bit. But if you look at the back of the board, I'm trying to do this one-handed, you can see along here that there's one big flex in the board. So that is not cool at all. It makes me slightly nervous to be using this board, because it is just so buckled. But as you saw, the PC was working perfectly. There's quite a bend in the board pretty much everywhere, but it can't be helped. Whee! But anyway, I'm going to see what I can do. So the main thing that's causing the flex in this board at the back is the cooler and its retention plate. So here's the flex again. Just take a look at that. Sorry about my phone in the background. There it is. And basically, if you loosen the lever on the cooler, obviously the board unflexes a little bit. Not totally, because it's been flexed for so long now that it's physically bent. But the reason that I don't want to, you know, loosen, tighten, loosen, tighten, loosen, tighten, is because it could just go bink, and that's the end of it, you know, snap. I don't know how much a motherboard of this age is. I can't imagine it being very much second hand on eBay at all. Maybe we're looking about 20 quid. But the thing is, we don't have 20 quid to spend on this motherboard. It'll be easier just to keep the same PC that we have. So I've come to the decision that I'm going to leave it like it is, with a bit of a flex in it. I've seen flexed motherboards before. It's not a big deal, and it's not as if it's a massive angle. It's just a little bit of a bend, nothing too major at all, and it's not as if the computer's going to be moved around everywhere all the time. It's just going to sit in one place doing simple tasks. It's not going to get boiling hot, and I think it's going to be okay. So I've got the I/O shield out. Here it is. I hate these I/O shields, the sort of cheap cut out ones. Hate them. You can tell it's cheap by the way it sounds when you drop it. Got that standoff out. And down here we have the case with all of the standoffs and screws in it. What's that, you may ask? Well, that is this system all set up and tested. I'm running the iQute PSU, that's going great. I'm testing out the new fan. This guy is shifting a load of air without being noisy at all. Got the new RAM stick in there. So we're running 2 gigs of RAM, and I'll show you that in a minute. Got the old graphics card in there that was originally in this machine. And got the 80 gig hard disk plugged in, which is working very well. It's got Windows on it, but the installer's a bit knackered, so it's not actually booting up, it's just blue screening. But anyway, it is looking very, very good. As you can see, total memory is 2 gigs, which is sweet! It is very, very cool. Very, very cool. And just to remind you of the rest, AMD Athlon 64X2 dual-core processor, 3800 plus. Very nice machine. I'm liking it a lot. Once it's in the case, I don't think it'll be too loud at all, because this is every fan in the system running at the moment, and it's not bad at all. I'd say the loudest fan, maybe not the loudest, but the most irritating fan is the video card. If I stop that for a minute, it definitely becomes a lot quieter. By the way, I don't recommend stopping your fans like that. You can stuff up the bearings and whatnot, but hey, that's just an old video card. And yeah, this is working really well. I'd say the second loudest fan is the power supply fan. This new case fan is silent, and that's one thing that's very good considering it's an 80mm fan. It's not spinning very quick at the moment, but I have plugged it directly into the Molex 4 pin as well to give it a go. It's in the 3-pin motherboard at the moment. But yeah, I'm rambling on about this now, guys. Right then, this is going to be part 1 to the video. By the way, do you like the keyboard? I borrowed it from my mum. She uses it with her computer. Computer that I put together for her ages ago now. A mixture of parts out of those other 3 PCs that I had. But anyway, I'm going to ditch that now outside. This case is going to keep the standoffs as spares. The only thing that I haven't tested now is this optical drive, and that's because I don't have a spare SATA cable. I have ordered one, so that's on the way. So as soon as the case comes, which will hopefully be soon, then I will definitely be making part 2. Don't you worry about that, guys. And I hope you've enjoyed part 1. Sorry if it hasn't been that interesting, but yeah, this system's running great. Oh, and by the way, if you're wondering how I started this up outside of the case, I just grabbed the pliers, which I used to get rid of the standoff, and bridged together the power connection up there, which is the little black one with the pin next to it, whatever colour that is. But yeah, this is looking really cool. I'm very pleased. It'll be fun to test out that iQute PSU as well, because some people say they're crap and some people say they're very good. So yeah, very interesting. This thing's looking great. I'll see you in part 2.